So I'm making this video because I would like to know more if anybody out there has more information on this castle. Uh, it's most people call it the Whiting Castle or the castle on Huron Bay or the Lake Worth Castle. Uh, I first came across it while kayaking to Goat Island and exploring around Goat Island because my great, I think four greats, Uncle Melvin in 1923, him and his gang were brewing moonshine on Goat Island. There was a big raid, a shootout with the Fort Worth police. And ever since I learned about this, shortly after moving to Fort Worth, I've been exploring the area. But anyways, one day I was kayaking around Lake Worth, and I saw this castle, and I started looking online, and there's a bunch of stories out there, some conflicting that can't be true, um, some that it's pretty fascinating. So, and one thing I've seen is some people say it's like at 9115 Huron Drive, but the mailbox and if you look on Google Maps, it says that 9125 Huron Drive, um, which matches what the mailbox says whenever I was there. So after digging around on the internet, and I had to look at the Internet Archive, archive.org, to find some things because there's been a lot of stuff deleted about the place. Um, anyways, it's hard to tell what's true, what's not, and I'm going to do my best to tell you what seems to be true about this place. Um, some of it, though, I'm looking for more evidence on. So in 1860, before Fort Worth was even a city, before Fort Worth was even a city, and before Lake Worth was there was a three-room stone farmhouse that was built by a creek bend. Is one story, one floor with thick walls. Um, the tiny house is still there today, buried in the back of something that looks like it was stolen from a fairy tale or something. In the late 1920s, a Canadian couple arrived, Samuel and Elizabeth Whiting. They renovated the farmhouse. Um, Elizabeth drew the plans herself around tower, turret, stained glass windows, um, seven fireplaces, and kind of like a Roman style courtyard fountain. There was an old oak tree that was there. By 1938, the farmhouse had vanished inside of like a full blown Gothic kind of style castle. Then there was, the Prohibition era, Fort Worth. Um, excuse me, I had an issue with the microphone. Um, so during Prohibition era, it was said that bootleggers ran whiskey across the water at night, which is interesting because if you're standing right on the front lawn of this castle, you'll see Goat Island, where my ancestors brewed moonshine and the raid happened. But then if you're standing on that Goat Island, facing that same direction, you're facing Casino Park, which I'd like to do some videos about both of those places in the near future. They all kind of tie together. But anyways, uh, it was said that the castle had a private dock, and possibly tunnels from the basement that went to a boathouse that's no longer there. People are saying that there's a bunch of rumors about these tunnels, and I haven't found any evidence of anybody actually finding them. But a lot of people are saying that they collapsed along with that boathouse. And whenever I was there recording this footage, I can actually see a bunch of like collapsed stone at the lake. Like there used to be an old dock there and boathouse. But I'd like to find more proof of this. 1944, Consolidated Voltee Aircraft, Convair. They were building B-24 Liberators just a few miles away, and they needed a place to put generals, test pilots, and like VIP guests. and they leased the castle for an entire decade. I saw that Eleanor Roosevelt slept there, and that's actually documented. Um, there's also reports of President Eisenhower and Jimmy Stewart um, staying there as well. I can't find any concrete evidence of that, just reports of it. Um, in 1945, a fire burnt through the main house. Um, Samuel Whiting's son took his own life 3 miles away, and the castle never really fully recovered. The Voltaire lease ended, and the house kind of began like a slow decline, from what I understand it. In the mid 1970s, Tony and Miriam Van bought the ruins and brought it back to life. They called it St. Michael's Castle. They enclosed a courtyard, turned the east tower into apartments, and opened the doors to anyone uh, searching for things. They had yoga retreats, meditation circles, um, and from what I read, ministers and training. Um, and they occasionally had forums there for people. They even had like I read UFO abductees forum there, which is interesting. In the 80s, the 1980s, there were some new owners. Um, I believe they are the ones that put the swimming pool in the back and razor wire around the walls because teenagers and stuff kept breaking in and exploring the place or partying. And then by the 2000s, there was another fire, I believe in 2008 February. Um, in October 2008, the city of Fort Worth, um, they put it up for sale. The opening bid was 325,000. Then they ended up dropping it to 260,000, and then finally at $185,000, a Houston investor group bought it, and they renamed it the Castle of Huron Bay. But they never really did anything with it, from my understanding. And now the castle belongs to a local aviation parts owner. Um, the windows are all still boarded up. And there's like a little there's a house next to it for like a groundskeeper, it looks like. Um, One thing though, I know it can't be true, and I see this reported everywhere, is about this couple that bought it in the 1800s, and they had a wedding, and then the bride ended up drowning in the lake. Some people say it was on the wedding day, and that she now haunts the place. But that can't be true because the lake wasn't there in the 1800s. The lake was built in 1914. So that can't be true. Anyways, if anybody out there has more information on this, I'd really like to know more. Like I said, I keep digging around. There's other stuff I found too that's it's pretty interesting, but I'm not sure which parts are true or not. It seems like there's a lot of legends about it. Oh, also there were some movie stars that allegedly stayed at this place during the filming of Strategic Air Command, which came out in 1955. Which uh, I tried to watch that. YouTube and Amazon tried to charge for it. I did find it on archive.org, which is pretty cool. You can watch the whole thing there for free. And I came up with this list with the help of Grok AI. I'm going to read it to you. I had to fix a few things because, like I said, it was also finding some unverified things about this castle, and it helped me kind of sort through what has been confirmed and what's myth, but there's a whole lot of stuff kind of in between. There's a lot of legends about So here's a list of things I've found so far that I know are true, and I would like to know if anybody out there has more information. So during 1860 to 1876, the original 3-room, 1-story stone farmhouse was built. Records were lost in an 1876 courthouse fire. In 1872 to 1894, it was homesteaded by D.P. Terrell, uh, Charles Turner's family. 1904 to 1911, it was owned by Oliver S. Kennedy family, sold to the city of Fort Worth for the Lake Worth Reservoir, and impounded 1914 to 1915. And then the late 1920s to 1938, Samuel and Elizabeth Whiting acquired it from the city, transformed the farmhouse into the castle, uh, added towers, a courtyard with a fountain, um, Roman reliefs, 7 fireplaces, stained glass, east tower bedrooms, the oak tree through the house, the dock, and the boathouse. Um, in 1920s to 1933, it was widely to believed to have operated as an illegal speakeasy and gambling house with bootlegging via the lake dock. That's the period I'm very interested in to know if there's any ties with Goat Island and Casino Park. In the 1930s to 1944, the Whitting family, it was the Whitting family's residence. Eleanor Roosevelt stayed at least one night, or at least once. That is confirmed. 1944 to 1954, leased to Consolidated Vultee Aircraft Corporation, also known as Convair, as executive guest house near their huge Fort Worth bomber plant and Carswell Air Force base used for visiting generals, engineers, test pilots, and other VIP people. In 1951, Samuel E. Whitting dies. 1953, there's major fire damage to the house. John C. Whitting's the son commits suicide by pistol 3 miles away after a divorce. 1954 to 1958, a local family owns it, lives in the West Guest House while the main house is repaired. They explore, but they didn't find the tunnel entrance. 1958 to the 70s, uh, there were short-term owners, 1 to 3 years each, and there was some vacancies, vandalism, and occasional events. 1970s to 1980s, it was purchased and restored by Tony Marion Vaughn as a New Age retreat. And the 1980s to the 1990s, it was rented by John Piegenberg and Richard Ruiz, French American Airlines pilot. 1990s to 2007, uh, it was pretty much vacant and deteriorating, and there was multiple vandals and fires. In 2008, there was a major arson. Um, I'm going to put all this in the description for other people to look at, but please comment. Let me know if you know anything else about this place. Thank you. And I'll also leave the link to the James Stewart movie down below in the description if anyone wants to check it out.